So Mike Villalobos tells me there are 800 makers in Art of Skateboarding.
Wow.
And, you know, on our podcast, I've had a fairly negative assessment of the hope that skateboard making will take off.
Right.
But Mike is really, and he's so cool. He reaches out to me.
Yeah.
And he's been steadfast.
Yes.
In staying in contact with me over these years.
Yes.
And I am very pleased that he shared this with me today.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy that the goal of Midwest Blue Collar Fickle Skateboards, which was to be a vehicle for change in the industry,
right,
is being realized. It's not being realized necessarily through me, but it is happening.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't think that's a different thing from saying I did it.
Right.
But
right.
But it was what I wanted to see happen, and it's happening. So
yes.
I am happy for the skateboarding public that something true and grassroots, decentralized from the toxic industry mainstream, is going on.
Yes.
I wish to see the same sort of thing happening in politics.
Yeah.
And I wish to see things happen like that in things like the insurance industry.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And I wish for family doctors to be free once again to do risk and benefit analysis and prescribe by their conscience to their patients. You know, like
yes, right.
I wish for there to be a greater capacity among neighbors who love one another, to have vibrant disagreements with one another. And I wish the same thing for the church, that folks wouldn't just skip out when iron touches iron, but that they would stay in there for the hard spiritual and theological conversations that need to happen in order for us to grow closer with God and with each other. And on all that, I'm super triggered and almost in a panic attack already. So.
Just a point of order, so the Instagram account is art_of_board making, all one word.
Art of board making.
Art of board making, that's it.
Art
just
of board
followed
making.
It.
It is worth following. I actually followed it today, even though I've been perusing it for a long time. I forget to follow things. I just look them up.
Yes.
Because I'm they call me a boomer. I'm no boomer. I'm solidly in the Gen X crowd.
Yes.
Boomers cared about making a whole bunch of money. Gen Xers don't care about basically anything. They just want to be left alone.
Hey, does Life Skateboards make mellow concave decks?
Yes, for their smaller models. What a strange question. Did it come from somewhere?
Yeah, it came from a listener on the InstaSlam account.
Oh. Well, it's a good time for us to say with clarity and a certain amount of enthusiasm that we ride Life Skateboards. They are the boards that we ride. I personally ride a Panhead XL on a 14.75 wheelbase. You can ask for your wheelbase.
Just as God intended.
I recently was contacted by Sam at Life Skateboards, and he wanted to supply me with a bigger quiver of boards to show people. And I asked him whether we could get the wheelbases at 14.75 because that's a street skating capable wheelbase.
Come on, man.
And he said
no.
He said absolutely yes.
Good.
And
he said no.
He treated it like it was a great idea.
Oh, that's awesome.
He accommodated it. The thing about the way I ask him to do that and the way that he does it is we keep the length on the board and we add the 1/4 inch to the nose.
Yeah.
Which I think plays wonderfully on the Life concave.
Yes.
I really do.
100%.
So I have been having a hard week in some ways. I've had to, on purpose, be happy and take my feelings and tell them to shut the heck up.
Yes.
So did you fart or did Rocco fart?
That's Rocco for sure.
Dude, he is reeking up the room.
Dude, it is thick in here right now. You
can
cut it with a knife.
We're gonna have to light something on fire.
Wow. It's like really waving over me right now.
Do we have a means of? How did we light it last time?
I just watched, as I was uploading YouTube videos, I watched us do this. There's an electronic lighter somewhere that we use to light a card to light the candle.
Oh, please.
Here.
Where is it? Where is it?
Quick.
Do you not have a lighter on you?
I don't.
See, this is what not smoking cigarettes will do to you.
Yeah, see?
gonna wind up. We are hoist by our own petard.
Come on, man.
We are, and I don't have any lighter fluid for all my Zippos. We're
in an ocean of just dog ass smell right now.
It is a bad smell. It's very thick.
It is,
but it's not normal. Usually, a dog's gaseous emanation usually contains a high degree of some chemical compound that causes almost pain in the nostrils. This one was one was high in sulfur. I can tell it was high in sulfur. Here, for our listening audience to enjoy, it's an electric lighter.
No.
Okay, and we do this.
My gosh, last time this almost ended poorly.
Well, at least it's all on camera. And we're in a room full of nothing but books. So
and carpet and wood.
What could go wrong? Oh man, I had to try twice. Okay, we got it. Oh, that's a lot. What do I?
This is exactly what happened last time.
I don't know what to do with that.
Hold on, just hold it up like that. I bet it'll die out.
I don't know, Luke.
Dude,
what if it ashes hot ash on me?
Put it into my coffee. If it's an emergency, dog.
Oh, I'll just put it in this cup. Oh, this cup has old coffee in it.
Yeah, this is perfect.
All right, so what we do is we take the flaming.
Last time you folded it out.
I did. I'm an idiot. There we go. We did it. Old coffee to the rescue.
Gosh, dude.
Swing away, Meryl. You know what that's from?
I don't. What is that?
It's from the movie Signs, and the little girl kept leaving half full or like full glasses of water everywhere.
Yes.
Then when the guy didn't know if he believed in God anymore. When the aliens showed up, there were these glasses of water everywhere.
Yeah.
Turns out the aliens were harmed badly by water.
Yes, I remember.
And
Swing away, man.
He like hit one and the splat, and then they were like, "Oh yeah!" So he just starts smacking them.
Yes.
And it was actually, I'm about to cry because I'm emotional.
It was really
this
touching.
week. It was very touching because
Yes.
their mother died so sadly, and the dad was so shook.
Yes.
So
Swing away, Meryl.
oh, it was such a good movie. It really was.
Gosh, dude.
I love me a Mel Gibson flick.
Oh, dude, was that Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Dude, I love Mel Gibson as well. Daddy, Papa Gibson, my guy. Dude, the rancid smell of the actual burning paper is almost as bad in some ways.
Yes.
Look at your dog literally shivering with cold.
Yes, my dog is at all times dying of either heat or cold.
It's like
hunger.
65 degrees in here.
Yeah.
Is that cold?
And everything about him elicits from us a care response. I think this is the, dogs come from wolves, and I think that they became domesticated through manipulating us through behavior. And my dog has a behavior set that evolutionarily evidences that they figured out they could, instead of pushing us around with their teeth and claws, they could pull us around with their shivering and their just acting basically sad. They found out we would do anything to make them act
look at
happy.
him. He's little.
I think for our viewing audience, I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to turn the camera and show you the ridiculous situation. This was a wolf.
This was a wolf.
How?
I've seen you almost kill a dog. You like a big baby right now.
Rocco.
Go with your daddy.
Down. Down. He absolutely with like German trained Doberman intensity, he obeys commands.
Yes.
See it.
Lightning fast.
Absolutely, dude.
He has no resentment towards being asked.
I said down, I said Platz, and he just was
boom.
He hits the ground.
Even though he wanted to lay down when you told him that, he was like slow to do it.
As soon as he's told to lay down, like, all of a sudden he doesn't want.
Yeah.
I'm basically
all systems down.
Great. You're having a kid. You're gonna know.
Oh boy.
Actually, I'm not putting that evil on you. Some kids are delightfully compliant. You got to watch those ones though. You got to make sure they got a spine. You got to teach your kids. You got to teach your kids to question authority.
Yes.
But not just for the sake of questioning it. You want them to be equipped to find reliable authority according to a well-developed and well-exercised conscience. It's tough. It's tough.
Yes, it's a little nuanced.
Anyways, so
go ahead.
Yes, life has a mild concave.
Yeah, it does have a mild concave. Also,
for boards up to like 825.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
We was finally able to get all the videos uploaded to YouTube
this
week. It's on. They're all there.
Our YouTube is burgeoning.
Yes.
With viewing material.
Yes.
Burgeoning. I can't imagine a world in which.
Yes.
But Some people like to listen to the videos.
No, I think some people like to watch it because it feels like they're in the room with us. That's how I feel when I'm watching like videos of podcasts. I enjoy that tremendously.
That's good stuff. Well, what else are we talking about? Did we get any questions today?
I don't think we got any questions beyond does life have a concave that isn't super steep?
I like that. Yeah. That's a great question.
It is.
I think we talked about it already almost to death about how there was this awesome 1-star Google review on Life Skateboards, yes. And I thought whatever nuances of customer service borned that review.
Yes.
That the use of that review for a great, a service announcement level. Jay Sloan had a question. Jay, type your question. What's your question?
I think my question was...
Jay Sloan has a question.
He asked in the live stream, Luke, have you announced that you're running for mayor yet?
Mayor of what?
I have no idea.
What
I'm just happy to be here.
Mayor of I burned down my house when I was 16.
Yes. In that case, I won. It was amazing. Yes, it was incredible.
What would Luke be the mayor of?
I don't know.
What a strange idea. I mean, look, if you ran for mayor of anything, you would likely have my vote.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're too smart and too moral to want to be mayor of anything.
That's the problem. Even being a project manager is a little bit tenuous sometimes.
I'm a project manager. I actually did my first independent job ordering today.
Yes. It was good?
It was fine. Roofing is not terribly complicated. There were a few wrinkles. Like this one didn't need drip edge.
Oh.
I don't know
because
why.
they're not taking it all. I'm okay. We won't have to ask. It's
countdown to getting to the job and they
needing
need
dripping
drip edge,
yeah,
right?
Because that doesn't make any sense. It's fine.
I was given reasons, and the reasons are correct.
Yes.
But situations and things and stuff, it's a strange install because all the places where there would be dripping. This is the reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
The entire bottom of the roof is going to be second pitched by a second crew that's coming in to second pitch over. It just came back to me. This is why my boss is right. Because the second pitch crew is going to pitch over the box gutters, hang soffits, and hang fascias, and run gutters.
Yes.
So that's why. But they'll need drip edge. But I don't project manage that crew.
Yes.
Our repair crew.
Mm-hmm.
They're top notch.
They PM themselves.
It actually was like a second year goal for us to hope to find a repair crew.
We got it.
We got these guys in our first year, and
dude,
we are so happy with it. I think Rocco should be the mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, but he doesn't live there, so it's not going to happen.
It's a little bit weird.
Do you know their mayor is always a dog?
I did not know that.
Yes,
that's
Rabbit
cool.
Hash.
It feels like somewhere deep down in my brain I knew that, but
dude, insurance be darned.
What? What are you talking about? Are you looking at this candle thinking about how I burned
No, I'm thinking about you not being able to just jump on my other bike and us go to Rabbit Hash.
I know, dude. I know. And your
this
bike
is
so
stupid. You ride the Blackie.
Why don't you...
Look, the Ratter did me wrong on that last trip, and I put a multimeter on it.
Yeah.
And it's throwing 18 something to the battery. So that means that I got to put a new regulator rectifier in it.
Yeah.
It
was throwing 18.5?
18.5.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, it was cooking the battery.
It was for like everything.
Smells like hot dogs.
Yeah, it smells like hot dogs, my God.
That's hydrogen gas.
Yeah.
Freaking hydrogen gas coming out. It's okay, it's only just under my ass.
Yes, it's fine. We should, you know what we should do with the black bike? Because you don't really drive that one very much. What we could do, it might be a bridge too far.
I rode the black bike today.
You did ride it.
You're talking about the tall bar.
Yeah, the tall bar bike. But if we really wanted to do it and have a bike for riding purposes, I could put it into my name. I wonder if my insurance would let you drive it, so it would just stay here, but I would pay insurance on it. And
I am not hating this idea.
I mean, it's that's a lot to ask. It's your bike. I
think that getting out there is what I want to do more than anything, and I don't have a bunch of issues here.
I'll call my insurance and ask if I insure a bike if somebody else can drive it. Because if that's the case, then it'll just be in my name. You'll own it.
Can one insure a bike that is registered to another owner? Likely not.
I will write the question down.
That's a good question.
Insurance.
Can one insure a bike that is registered to another owner? That's a great
I feel like
question.
you can, because like Doesn't your car insurance cover like rentals?
Heck, I'm going to start insuring some of the worst drivers I know.
just
I'm just going to put out policies on their VIN numbers and just rake it in every time they wreck their cars.
This is actually a great idea. I haven't even thought about that.
I should insure my beard.
You probably could.
Oh
Somebody probably would insure it. But
I'd have to prove that I make money off of it, and I don't. What I do make off of it, though, is that I can't go anywhere
without being stared at,
without being stopped now.
Yes,
because now it's past my knees.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
I haven't even noticed.
That's stupid.
Let me see again.
It's because
no, I see it already.
It's because I'm sitting in a chair, and when I look down, it touches the ground. But it is
that long. No, it's definitely.
It is super long, and that's because I have not taken my rides to Texas. Those trimmed my beard.
Yeah, no, literally.
I'm not taking my. They used to snap the ends off.
Yeah,
I'm not taking my rides to Texas. And the reason I stopped taking my rides to Texas was not because I was afraid of spreading, like the disease.
Yes.
But because I knew other people were really upset and some people died.
Yeah.
There were some very precious people who died, and I guess it was because of that. It was because people were dying, and yeah, man, you just cool it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And now, I just, I still have all the necessary invites to do it, but now, oh well, I also don't work in skateboarding anymore, so I can't take 10 days the way I used to. It doesn't result in 35 new orders from Facebook Lives and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, my whole funding thing has changed.
It's a little bit different. It
is weird to think back and see these kind of things, because those trips were very, very useful for sorting out my head.
Yeah.
And that sorting out my head was why I stayed as a board maker full-time for as long as I did. I mean, 6 years of, living in a tension that we're now re-entering through our podcast. We're re-entering this tension. And being involved with any brand in skateboarding and carrying a responsibility to represent a brand, which I take seriously. I guess it's not really that common, unless I guess these brands are actually serious, that they want juvenile drug use and things like that to be their brand.
No, I think that we kind of established that, which seems crazy,
but saying it out loud today,
I can't. It just doesn't
believe
hit. I know it just doesn't hit.
I can't believe it.
I know it is. It is pretty wild. I'm trying to think. Can you think of a brand right now that you feel like, oh, I like that brand. That brand does a good job representing skateboarding in a way that feels good to me.
I think I can. Let me think.
Does Welcome do that?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
I'm so out of
Welcome is just much more of the same now. In the beginning, Welcome came off of a blog called A-Flux.
Oh, yeah.
And, no, Life Skateboards represents the things that I really value.
That's true.
That's just true. And it's not just a bro deal. I'm proud to ride for Life Skateboards because they represent not only the manufacturing process that I value and the capacity for customer service and connection that I value.
Right.
But Life Skateboards, Sam Cooke is the only person who was reliable to go to the mat in social media for me during those days of so much trouble, and willing to come in there and just ask a blasting question. There's Angries again.
No, look at it, but it's hearts on mine.
I don't understand.
Sam, were you doing hearts or angry faces?
Yeah, maybe he's doing both. Maybe hearts will come up on yours later.
It's hearts.
Okay.
On mine.
Angries.
But you got angry faces.
I got Angries.
What is going on?
Oh, it's so strange.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so strange.
Hello, 911? Wow, that's so strange. That's weird. Okay, it's fine.
Yes. But Life Skateboards backs, I don't know, I hate skateboarding. They make all kinds of skateboards for all sorts of disciplines.
Yeah.
They make all kinds of, they have all kinds of people. Sobriety is a major influence at Life Skateboards. I back that.
Yeah, absolutely.
While I am not a teetotaler, that is, I'm not a complete abstainer. From, I have a relationship with certain intoxicants like alcoholic drinks in which I consume them as food with food.
Mm-hmm.
I have that in my life as a feature.
Yeah.
As a reliable feature of my life. But it would be better to never touch the stuff than to encourage someone who has a problem with it to touch it. That's 1 Corinthians 14, or Romans 14, 1 Corinthians 7 and 8.
Yeah.
2 Corinthians?
I'd 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians
1 Corinthians 7 and 8 is marriage stuff.
Yeah, it's 2 Corinthians 7 and 8.
Yes.
And so I think sobriety is an incredibly important thing. And also, I highly recommend marijuana sobriety.
Yeah.
I think that marijuana is a precious, effective, pharmacological substance for the treatment of disease.
Yeah.
And so I love that Life Skateboards has a hard line of sobriety.
Yeah. And for Sam, that makes total sense. I think it's awesome. Well, it's something I respect about Sam tremendously.
We're not going to tell Sam's story today, but I'll tell you, Sam's story will explain a lot about why that is such a focus at Life Skateboards. I back that.
Yes.
And when I listen to things like Cater Silla's interview on the bunt, and I listen to it, I just...
Did you get through the whole thing? Surely not. I did like an hour of it. It was
I did. I think I did listen to the whole thing. When I listen to something like that, I am first there's the front end of it, the aesthetic of listening to a person who's blazed out of their mind.
Yes.
That's not a pleasant listen for me.
No.
But second, there is my paternal avuncular concern.
Avuncular.
Yeah, that means uncle.
Yes.
My concern for their health and well-being long term. The science is solid and sure that there's damage done to the brain. Third, I have a spiritual discernment that the recreational use of pharmacological substances is linked to a lot of spiritual disease. And then fourth, I'm concerned for the community that has laughed along on Woodward footage and things like that while this kid was just a youngster.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned for the brands that wouldn't kick a guy off the team for modeling this out in the world.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with the community that won't confront it. I'm concerned with the kids who are influenced by it.
Yes.
It's just it's pernicious.
100%.
And I am against that. I think that the folks at the Bunt and the folks, like, I'm happy that they're sponsored by Vans and that there's a voice of...
That still doesn't make any sense to me, dude.
I'm happy. I'm happy, like, in a way, like, good for you guys. You got your sweet deal. I just don't know why Vans would pick a group that produces media that promotes that kind of dissipation. I don't understand. It's not even like the greater market share, the capitalist greed-driven market share, lies outside of that focus.
I know, it's insane.
It does. I mean, all of these, and they're making these collabs with like SpongeBob and Disney, and I'm like, why?
Jeez.
Why would Vans not stick to their Euro trash marketing? Like, I'm thinking of like the CEO of Harley Davidson. They keep bringing in these European people, and declaring they're going to be all electric by 2030. What a stupid. You know what Indian did? As soon as Harley Davidson said we're going to be all electric by 2035 or 2030 or whatever, I'm not listening. Right? Indian came out and said we're going to be made in America and internal combustion engines until, as long as there's a demand for it.
Dude, I'm about to switch to Indians.
I was listening to that, and I thought I could sell all my Harleys and buy an Indian.
Well, I'm literally.
I sincerely do not prefer Indians.
No,
I mean not.
Yeah, the early Harleys, or the glory days of like 1990 to 2004 or 6 or whatever, when they went to non-carbureted. Those were like amazing. You know?
Yeah,
they were incredible.
I'm still gonna stay with the 2000 twin cams.
Yes, sir.
Just because I can order 3 or 4 of everything, and I'll only use 2 of them to get the job right,
yes.
and I'll be able to do the job again because one of these things is going to need it soon.
Yes, 100%, dude. That's so painful.
I even bought the plastic clips for the oil lines.
Dog.
You know those plastic clips for your oil lines. I even bought the hard oil line plastic clips because those break off, and if one of those, I've got so many parts backed up.
It's so funny.
I'm building a year 2000 twin cam parts department.
Yeah, right, in your shed.
And again, dear listeners, that's all because of the cranks. Up until 2003, the cranks were pretty bomber.
Yeah.
Very low run out. And I don't ride bikes in a way that's going to untrue a crank.
Yeah.
So
you probably have to rip on them real hard.
Oh, you gotta beat on them. You gotta
right.
beat on them.
Yes.
Even if you weld and pin a crank, it can still untrue.
Wow.
The amount of force. A pressed crank versus a pinned crank. Pinned is best.
Okay.
I said that wrong.
Yeah, okay.
Even if you weld a crank, it can still untrue. Pinned.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Okay.
Now we're talking. But I used to think like, oh, weld it and pin it. And I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me.
Don't. Whatever you do, that would be on you. I'm wondering if we don't circle back to about 2 episodes ago. We were having a conversation about civics. And our culminating statement at the end of the podcast was the way to, quote unquote, fix this, or the way to behave in such a society is to love your neighbor. And at the end of that podcast, I remember saying, we surely ought to define what we mean by love.
Oh.
Does that sound interesting to you?
I remember the emphasis of that was love your enemy.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, look,
love your enemy. That's what it is.
Let me get this straight. Yeah, I like this because there are a lot of things going on. For example, there are things we have to talk about, like there needs to be a robust, frank, multifaceted. That means people will have many different positions. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a strong, robust, not just a dialogue, but like a strong evaluation through the cultural filter of the people about transgenderism and queer theory. Okay, sure. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I am really downhearted that it looks like the capacity to have that conversation is diminishing. So I don't want to talk about that conversation yet. We're going to be meta today, because in order to have that conversation, we need to be able not only to have data and statistics, the data of statistics and medical professionals, clinicians, and things like this. We also need to have in place a civil capacity for conversations that can be very polarizing.
Yeah.
People need to be allowed to polarize and say, no, I disagree with you, without being vilified. What does vilified mean?
To be made into a villain.
Yes. Vilified is a funny word because it means to be made into a villain.
Yes.
Another word that is synonymous with it is demonized.
Oh, yeah.
Where you make someone be the demon, the evil, the evil other.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, these people who disagree with one another really should commit to loving each other in their disagreement. So calling an idea a bad name, saying this idea is objectionable to me because, and then we lean in and listen. That's one thing. But calling a person a bad name for having a bad idea, now, that's not always inappropriate. For example, take some very bad ideas.
Yeah.
We still have the Klan. Mm-hmm. Still exists. It's still an organization.
Yeah.
And if someone's in the Klan, they have that's a mother load of bad ideas.
Yeah.
And so, if it were a male, I would, whatever that means now. But if it were a male, In my case, I would identify them biologically.
Yes.
And I would call them a Klansman.
Okay.
Now, to other Klansmen, that would sound great. But to the world around me, that would be like a slur.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I don't think I would call them an MFer.
Would you say, "Oh, you idiot"? That's a bad
No,
idea.
I don't think so, because having bad ideas does not always denote a lack of intelligence. Very intelligent people, in fact, I would even say that intelligent people, perhaps more often, have some of the very worst ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I
true.
just don't see Down syndrome kids.
Yeah, right. Hating their neighbor because of their skin color. Right?
I don't see that.
Sure.
I see many times a simplicity and an ease with which they show affection and love.
Yeah.
Now I don't know jack squat about that.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no reason that you, our listeners, should should think that I'm going to do any damage to the world with my silly musings about things I don't know much about. I do know a thing or two about Klansmen, and I do know that my conclusion is that if I knew a Klansman, if that's what you would call them, that they are not a Klansman to me. They are a human being. They were created by the same God who created me.
Yeah.
They were died for by the same Savior who died for me.
Sure.
And he said, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father.
Yeah.
And that means that that's who's loving them. And I just have this huge pause that happens in me.
Sure.
And I experience in my life a huge flood, a spring of living water within me.
Sure.
And I love them.
Sure.
And I'm lucky because that's what Jesus commanded me to do.
Yeah, that's luck.
He commanded me to love my enemies. I oppose the teaching and the doctrine of the Klan. Yeah. I oppose that.
100%.
The outworking of my faith in my life and the way I think is in opposition functionally to those things. But the individual person who's caught up in that, I don't oppose their existence.
Yeah.
I don't oppose their health.
Yeah.
Or their ability to make a living for their family.
Right.
If they're a plumber, I don't oppose them plumbing.
Yeah.
If they're, and the greatest opposition I could bring to them within this framework would be that I might not have them plumb my house. But I also might take the day off from work and have them plumb my house, and I might take really good care of them and just love on them and share with them the same good news that created in me a love for people that I was raised to hate, because I was raised to hate.
Sure.
I wasn't raised to hate on a basis of skin color. Mm-hmm. I was raised to hate on the basis of politics. Yeah,
that's a huge one. I mean,
I was raised to hate right-wingers and born-again Christians, and I don't mean hate in the terms of like attack and kill.
Sure.
But in terms of oppose them and look down on them.
Yeah.
Anyone who thought that they knew the right way was wrong and bad, and you shouldn't, I did wind up becoming something of one of those people, and
that's hilarious.
I'm pleased to see that there are many people in my past life, my past, the past of my life, who they tolerate me.
Imagine that.
They tolerate me. I do know that some of this that you guys listen to on here is by nature offensive. But so loving your enemy is pretty essential. Because when you decide to hate your enemy and you say, take the thing that the Klansman says about all those groups that they say those things about, and you're saying them.
Yeah,
about the Klansman.
Right. Yeah.
and you're saying it about them because their ideas are so odious and so bad.
Right.
But having bad ideas is not criminal. It's not.
Sure.
It can be immoral to have bad ideas. Just because something's not illegal doesn't make it moral, right?
Right.
But the people have the right in this life to have bad ideas.
Right.
Some ideas are so bad they're murderous. Nobody gets to murder.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
Having bad ideas and acting on bad ideas are two different things.
Sure.
And I mean, so this loving your neighbor, loving your enemy thing, and we actually opened the good book, and we opened up the parable of the Good Samaritan last time.
Is that Matthew 24?
I don't think it is, but probably. I know that it's somewhere in Luke, maybe 15 or something. Let's see. Prodigal son is in Luke 15.
Oh, no, Matthew 24 is lawlessness increases, love of many will grow cold.
Yes, that was the base scripture, was Matthew 24. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. And we are seeing it. There is a savagery that is rising in this generation, and it is born of the love that God built us to have. We don't have it. And the place where I get it is Jesus himself. And there's so much I don't understand how to explain to our listeners on a podcast that isn't a Bible study.
Yeah. Right.
There's it's not that I don't want to do a Bible study with you. But the thing is that the whole world was shaken when Jesus was crucified. Subsequent to that, well evidenced in history, both his life, his crucifixion, and his resurrection spread across the world and did things like, I mean, it's just a fact that everywhere that this Jesus is worshipped sincerely, there are effects. His purpose was not to change and fix the world. That's not in the teachings of Jesus. Jesus didn't die to make the world a utopian paradise.
Yes, it's true.
That, by the way, is a Christian heresy called dominionism.
Yes.
And many people fall into it thinking that Jesus came so that we could change the world.
Yeah.
It's a terrible teaching.
Yeah.
It's very common. Victory World Outreach Center style thing, right?
The 7 hills and
yes,
right?
7 Mountain Theology is a great example of a dominionistic distortion of the purpose of Jesus.
I think based on a certain eschatological view, eschatological, how do you say that word? It's kind of fun to watch you say bad.
You said estical.
Estical instead of testicle.
I think it's esticular.
Esticular view.
Eschatological.
Eschatological view of like end times theology about something or another, yeah.
But this command of Jesus to all those who believe in him, and even people who don't, can resonate with this. Man, you gotta love people, man. Especially people who aren't on your team.
Yeah.
You gotta love people. You know, the fact is, in this world, we're not getting anywhere. You're not. This world is broken, and at best, we will mitigate the effects that sin has brought into the world. That's the best we can do, is in our generation to mitigate by speaking out on behalf of the oppressed, by standing up against unrighteousness in behavior, by speaking out with hope that reaches beyond this broken world, because the God of this world is the other guy. Ephesians chapter 2 calls him the God of this world. That's old Slewfoot, Belegba, down at the crossroads. That's Lucifer. And that's the truth. This world is temporary. Its pleasures and fulfillments are ephemeral. And what is real lies beyond the seen realm. And the purposes of Jesus in his crucifixion, his purposes for you and for me and for all mankind, lie beyond the seen realm. Now, that's not to say that faith in Jesus is blind faith. It's actually a good intellectual response to many very convincing evidences and yea, even proofs. Okay? No, that's not to de-intellectualize the conclusion that Jesus is worthy of our confidence.
Yes.
But that is to say that the purposes of Jesus lie in a realm beyond this one. Cue Sweet By and By, sung by Johnny Cash.
Cue Sweet By and By. I know, right?
The Jesus who saved me is the same Jesus who saved Johnny Cash, is the same Jesus who saved the thief on the cross to the right.
Yeah.
And that's the guy I put all my eggs in his basket.
Absolutely.
And I'm done. And I'm not done talking about it, but I'm cooked. So I'll come on here and I'll say to all of you who listen, all 30 of you, that loving your enemy is very important for the difficult conversations that we need to be having now for the sake of young people who are making disastrous decisions in a world that encourages them off the cliff.
Yeah.
And you think I'm talking about the queer theory issues that are there, but I'm also talking about the disastrous decision to be a complete blazed off smoky pothead at 12, 13, 15 years old.
Yeah.
The results are disastrous. The onset of schizophrenia and mental illness later in life, nobody wants to talk about it. Or what about the disastrous effects on the mind and the relationship capacity of pornography?
Dude, yes.
We need to talk about that too.
Yep.
And I despair of my audience's capacity
Yep.
for us to have these conversations. Luke's here to keep me grounded.
Yeah. Buckle up, bro.
Because so when we talk about how necessary this love is,
right?
You say, what is love?
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I'll go ahead and I'll do the classic, right? But you're not going to like it. And I'm not sure you're going to understand it.
Yeah, sure.
You might not like it and you might not understand it, but I'm going to open up the good book and I'm going to read to you from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Oh, I see it.
Are you wondering?
I just wanted to
start a little bit
earlier, take it from 3.
Why
right?
not? Yeah.
If I give away all that I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. So love is important. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Even if I do all the good works and have all the knowledge and all the power, but I have not love, I do nothing. That's a paraphrase of the first. But 1 Corinthians 13 says, love is, so this is going to be descriptive.
Yeah, right.
Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. I'm moved because one thing I don't do with people that I don't agree with on something, I don't resent them. And this resentment that we have toward people that we disagree with, especially in the highly polarizing political climate in which we find ourselves, there's all this energy that you're supposed to resent and hate. I was watching as people were just gleefully thinking about a politician being thrown in jail.
Jeez, man. Yeah.
I watched that on both sides of the aisle, both sides of the campaign divide, and it is not love. It's not love. Love is not irritable or resentful, does not rejoice at wrongdoing. And there's a certain Machiavellian spirit where people, they don't mind if you're breaking the windows of another person's car or burning down their store. They don't mind that if it's aligned with what they agree with.
Yes.
That's not love. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love has caused me to often hit a pause button and say, I don't know. I don't know. people coming to me and they're looking for me to ascribe allegiance to one side or another of some hot button issue. I've experienced this a lot. And I have to tell them, I don't know. I need at least a month with the stats to even begin.
Right.
But I don't even know, you know? And love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, and love never ends. Love never ends. Then I'm immediately, I mean, seriously, you can count me. I'm going to flip over to the book called 1 John. It is the second book written by John, the Apostle.
Stop.
John the Revelator. He wrote 4 books. And, he wrote 5 books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 4 of them are called John.
Yeah.
And the 5th one is not.
But the first one isn't 1 John.
The first one is not 1 John. 1 John is the second one.
Exactly, you got it.
The third one is 2 John, and the 4th one is 3 John.
Yeah. John.
And if you want to know the number on the 5th one, it doesn't have one.
Yes.
It's the Revelation. But here in 1 John, I believe it's in 4. I hope it. Now it's maybe it's I think it's in 4. Yeah, I think it's in 4 because it's in 4, 7, and 8. Yeah, it says, "Beloved, let us love one another.
I know.
For love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love."
Yes.
This is that one. "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world, so that we might live through him. In this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us, and sent his Son to be the sacrifice, the sacrificial payment, the propitiation for our sins.
Yeah.
Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another." And our listenership might be like, "Dude, I am not a Christian." And I'm like, yeah, but he's right, you know.
That's too damn bad.
Well, you know, it's right. It's true. Love. Love is the most important thing on this entire planet, in this entire world. Love. Love is all that matters. Even the Beatles wrote a song, quite popular, "All You Need Is Love." And if we do not love the people whose ideas we hate, to say we are blowing it is to put it criminally mildly. Many things upset me. You can tell when I'm upset or scared because I use profanity.
Yeah.
When I'm upset and I am scared, I use profanity. And I am not fully mature in love to the point of that full peace.
Sure.
So you'll have that.
You're going to have that. You really will.
But it is love that brings you into that peace. It is Jesus that brings you into that love.
Yeah.
And again, listen, I don't care if you won't listen anymore.
It's fine.
Outside of the hope I had before you left that maybe this would help you. You know.
Right.
But I'm not the only person that's going to say it to you. You're going to quit listening to the CapmLew podcast, and you're going to go out there, and someone this month is going to be in your life. They're going to be saying the same darn thing.
Probably your grandpa.
Oh, I wish my grandpa did this.
I know, dude.
My grandpas never did this.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
I mean, even on just like a not even a spiritual level, I'm just thinking about the idea that, you know, if we're driven into an ideology that states that whoever disagrees with us is so morally
is evil,
yeah, that we should hurt them.
That's bad.
And it's only a matter of time before we're on the chopping block as well. Look at the French Revolution. Right. Everybody was getting.
But I want to say,
everybody.
I want to say, my goal is not to avoid chopping blocks.
Okay.
My biggest role model in my life told me to take up my chopping block and carry it. You know, that's not the goal. The goal in your life is not to save your life.
Sure.
The goal in your life is to love.
No, I agree.
And, but yeah, keep going on.
Well,
that,
I'm just saying
that's
for
rich.
people who are
Sorry.
No, you're good. I agree with you. I'm saying for people who don't, believe that God is real or hate Christians or whatever, even just on a common sense level, historically the case is that if you start lynching people, everybody's going to get lynched. It's only a matter of time before the snake turns around and eats you. That's just the way that it is almost every single time. The French Revolution is a great example of
Tell
this.
our listeners what happened in the French Revolution.
Well, first they were like, okay, let's kill the monarch. So they did. And then they were like, okay, well, let's just kill everybody.
Well, you know what they developed? And this is already existing in our culture to a very, very strong degree. They develop a binary position. Right. This happened. They developed a binary position. So they were against the monarchy, and they killed them all.
Binary meaning there's only two options.
Right.
Black or white.
Right. So they decided that all those people were evil, and they really killed them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they didn't have anyone to kill.
Right.
So then, since the monarchy is gone,
right,
they just pulled it back one click.
Yeah.
To the I don't know who it was next. I haven't studied it in years, but they killed the people who were like sympathetic with the monarchy.
Yes. Right.
All right. These were non-monarchy people who weren't in the system, but who were rumored to be sympathetic. Maybe they had written things.
Yeah.
Or publicly said things that were sympathetic. They killed theologians who believed that it was the wrong thing to kill the monarchs.
Yeah.
They killed all kinds of people, and they killed a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
And then atheism blew up, so they started killing everyone that was not loyal to Robespierre's atheism, and his atheism was very strange.
Yeah.
He actually became a cult leader of a cult, and he wore the robes of a bishop.
Sure.
And then they just kept coming closer and closer to killing one another. This happened also in Stalin's Russia.
Yeah.
Stalin killed all his enemies, and then it was the next level in, and the next level in, and before long he was killing friends.
Yeah.
And that went on quite a while.
Right.
The French Revolution fell apart relatively
quickly.
Yeah, it was still really long.
It burned hot though.
It burned like a fire.
I'm thinking about. I was listening to a video of Jordan Peterson talking about Solzhenitsyn's the Gulag Archipelago, and he was describing the way that the political prisoners who would come into the Gulag camp systems who were still loyal to the communist system.
Yes, many communists suffered under the Stalinist communism because there were communist ideals, which are utopian. Yeah. Okay, communism promises to build a perfect world.
Yeah.
But then there were Stalinist ideals that were, of course, communism is impossible. Yeah. Socialism is impossible because human nature will always do the same thing with it.
Right.
What socialism is, it says centralize a good portion of the power. We will redistributively enforce justice. Everyone will prosper. Yeah. All boats will rise. And it always sounds really great to anyone who doesn't know history very well.
Right.
And many of its arguments are compelling. Until they're examined and until the reality of human nature is applied.
Yeah.
The fundamental underpinning that is so deeply flawed about all of the utopian things is that people are fundamentally good and can fix the world. These are the ideas to watch out for more than any. These are this disagreement I have with that ideal will be my undoing. That will be what puts me in the back of a tractor trailer on the way to a camp somewhere.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Because I do not agree. Human beings and the whole world is fundamentally marred by sin. Sin is like a living thing within us to rebel against God's order and his ways and even his love.
Yes.
To rebel against that is written like into our DNA. This is why in John chapter 3, Jesus said, you must be born again.
Yeah.
Because we are we are flawed fundamentally. So this belief that we are fundamentally flawed will always cause a guy like me to go, yes, it sounds great,
yes,
but that's not what will happen. Okay?
Right.
I know this theologically, I know this theognostically,
and historically. I mean,
and then there's
yeah, right.
that pesky thing called history, right?
Yeah.
But I was on my way. You know, these thought trains are hard. I apologize, dear listeners, for my train of thought issues. I'm very anxious by nature. But in the Gulag Archipelago, you hear all these people coming into the camps, and I have not read it. It's not even on my list.
Yeah.
There's so many books. These communism persecuted communists, that's this binary ratcheting nature.
Right.
And what you'll see is like you're seeing it with like right now one of the most vilified people in literature is the lady named, she's British, her name is J.K. Rowling.
Oh yeah, I forgot about all that.
Rowling?
Yeah.
Rowling. I think it's Rowling. I don't know.
Sure.
This lady, she wrote all the Harry Potter books?
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So she is presently under fire, and that is that ratcheting back. Ground was gained, and feminism, the fifth wave or whatever wave we're on, gained its ground and got dominant cultural power.
Right.
So then it's time to create another class of enemy.
Right.
Once everything was gained.
Right.
And that's it's arguable.
Yeah, sure.
And so now this new group was created, and they're called TERFs.
TERFs.
Yeah, and so she's called a TERF now. And just yesterday, Judy Blume, the author of all those young... Judy Blume came out and apologized because she had supported J.K. Rowling.
Hold on, is Judy Blume the lady who wrote the...
Ramona Cleary.
Oh my
all that
gosh,
Ramona Cleary
dude,
stuff,
that's
man.
crazy.
She was such a rascal.
Yeah,
she was
that's
like
hilarious.
She was like a Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
She said guts.
She said guts.
Those books were read to me. I have a soft spot in my memory for that. I have lots of soft spots in my memory. But so what happens when you have a system of thought that does not love its enemy?
Yeah, and it's driven by an
it's voracious.
Yeah, and it's driven by a subjective moral position that is prone to change based on societal standards.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there's no baseline, so it's all subjective based on, I don't know, what are we doing today?
Well, we're even seeing the destruction of the meaning of words in language.
Yeah.
I mean, it's being obliterated. Even dictionaries, they changed the meaning of the word vaccine.
Did they really?
They did.
Wow.
They changed it right out from under you.
I did not know that.
And I, whether I have a dog in that fight or not, I do have a dog in the fight of the meaning of words. There's almost nothing in our life and conduct more important than the words that we use. The words that we use can impart encouragement and build, or they can impart destruction into our generation. The words that we use, and that's why some of my sailor mouth is intended to build a bridge of trust. You know, I don't apologize yet for all of the sailor mouth and low language that I use, because I love people and I like to be honest.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just not all there yet, and I don't mind letting it show.
Sure.
And strangely, I've seen that build a bridge of understanding and trust between me and other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's fine. Well, I get it. I'm with you. My mouth is probably worse than yours.
You have a potty mouth.
I have a potty
mouth.
But
I mean, the question. Yeah, there are a lot of questions. Listen,
fine.
Luke and I care about this because our speech is important. We believe and we see that speech is important.
Absolutely.
So that's the nature of not loving your enemy when it comes to civil discussions.
Yeah.
Or uncivil discussions.
Right.
Is when we're hashing out issues among ourselves. Whether it's like, I think that the upshot of Thrasher magazine
right.
is a terrible anti-sobriety, robbery of innocence of young people and promotion of drugs and a very sinister Luciferian thing. I don't have a huge bone to pick with a little bit of heavy metal Luciferian image. I really don't. My family picture downstairs.
Yeah.
I've got a freaking Smelly Curb patch on my jacket that's a cross of St. Peter.
Yeah.
I don't think they meant it as a cross of St. Peter.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
And I don't tend to be too freaked out by that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Luciferian imagery we run into at Thrasher magazine is that no, they're really legit, like totally happy if you destroy your mind with the occult and if you destroy your life with pharmakeia. Like they're fine with it. They're more than fine. And they clearly in the San Francisco Standard articles clearly admit at the highest level that they are fine with that as long as it brings them the money.
Yeah.
And that is disgusting.
100%.
That's disgusting. And I struggle to find a way to communicate about this because I say something like this and everyone in the room, their hair's on fire.
Yeah.
So I decided to do it in a room without them. Now I can talk to 1,000 people, and when their hair catches on fire and they start running around yelling, "Respect the Nar!
Yes.
Respect the Nar!"
Respect the core.
I don't have to hear it.
That's so funny, dude. I don't have to smell the hair burning. Yeah, it's nice. Thank you, technology. That's hilarious.
It's a nice thing. So loving your neighbor and loving your enemy, you can see, are wrapped up in the person of God.
Yeah.
And if you commit to this, you could be a relatively hardened atheist, but if you commit to this, I dare say it's going to lead you to some discoveries, and I'm very curious about what those might be. Because this loving people who hate us, loving people who oppose us, it's gonna cause change, and that I think is why we default so easily into hating our opponent in politics and life.
Yep.
Why families would rather divide over political silliness or immunological, epidemiological fear than unite in robust disagreement over things. It's why Cain slew Abel.
Yeah, no, straight up.
And that's why now it's actually becoming in fashion to breathe out murderous threats against people who simply don't agree.
It's just, it won't do.
Who offer alternative.
Yeah.
Who offer alternative.
Yeah.
And the offering of alternative is a fundamental liberty that's guaranteed in the United States Constitution.
Crazy dog.
The intellectual alternative being offered verbally or in writing through electronic or print media, it's enshrined as the first of our Bill of Rights protections.
Yeah.
It's not granted by the Constitution. The Constitution itself says that it is granted by the Creator, allowing for people to believe in the Creator according to their own conscience.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, try and run a cake shop. I mean, do you realize
it's
how
spicy?
Do you realize how? You see, I'm trying not to say.
I know. I know, dog. I know.
Do you realize how thwarted we are by the exercise of lawfare against one another in regard to issues of conscience?
Yeah.
The uneven hand and the unfairness of the whole thing are evident to anyone on either side of the issue. It's discouraging.
It is, absolutely.
It's discouraging.
And it just goes back to the fact that if you break the rules of the game, quote unquote, to win, it's only a matter of time before someone breaks them to win against you. You know what I mean? Like if we think that it's moral to destroy a person's business or livelihood because of the way that they think about something, it's only a matter of time before it's broken to destroy your livelihood. You know,
a great example of that from history is Hitler when he started. Okay, so now we're going to get a Spotify warning.
Yeah, we are.
When he started, he got jailed. Folks were hep to the game. They jailed the fool. Not the best move. It happened.
Yeah.
It is what it is. They jailed him over his behavior, but he had committed a crime, I do believe. I can't remember it.
I'm gonna look it up.
So he got jailed, and in there he wrote a book, and then people read the book, and he started, when he got out of jail, he started to campaign. I actually went to the beer hall in Munich.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, it was weird.
Was it?
The room where it happened.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't just one beer hall, but he had a thug squad, a goon squad that he brought with him.
Oh, yeah.
They were referred to as the brown shirts.
Yes.
So, I'm rusty on this, but as far as I remember it, these brown shirts were absolutely the most violent of chaps.
Yeah.
And anyone that stood up against him, he had been jailed for speech, so he learned a lesson. Was he jailed for speech?
He was jailed for a failed government takeover.
Okay, that's not speech. That's a behavior.
For high treason, but he was out of prison in like less than a year.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So he was. So what would happen was that when he was speaking, if anyone stood up and opposed him,
yes,
someone would stand up.
Yeah.
His goon squad would crumple them into a Beetle Bailey.
Yeah, right.
So they would Beetle Bailey these guys right there.
Yes.
Right away.
Yeah.
And two effects I know of from that were that the people who tried to speak out became afraid to because they didn't want to beat him.
Yes.
But most people were impressed with the strength and discipline, resolve, and conviction with which opponents were dispatched.
Sure.
They were like, hell yeah.
At least they believed
About time someone believed in something.
Yeah, right.
Here.
Finally, right.
But do you know what happened to the brown shirts?
They became the SS, maybe? I don't know.
You would have thought they would have become the SS, but they didn't. The brown shirts were exterminated, and I believe they were exterminated on Kristallnacht. The night of the long knives?
Yes.
The night of broken glass.
Yes.
I believe that they were exterminated they were exterminated. They were the first group of people in my reading of the history that were singled out and exterminated.
Sure.
By Hitler. Am I ringing true?
I'm looking it up right now.
Jamie, pull up the brown shirts.
Yeah, hey Jamie.
Oh geez, now they passed the Restrict Act, I just lost computer access and I have to go and testify in front of Congress.
Yeah, whoopsie. Yeah.
Sam Cooke is like, UPS drivers? Of course he is.
Abstract. What is he talking about, Stu? I don't read German.
I do. I don't read German. Let's see.
What's
Sturmabteilung. The Storm Detachment. Stormtroopers. Is that the brown shirts?
I looked up what happened to the brown shirts. Is the first thing that came up, so I think it is.
That's the Stormtroopers. That's the SA. That's, they are the brown shirts. The SA were the brown shirts. Disrupting the meetings of opposing parties, fighting against the paramilitary units of opposing... Okay. So they were called the brown shirts. All right. After Adolf Hitler ordered the Night of the Long Knives, Die Nacht der Langen Messer, he withdrew his support for the SA, and the SA continued to exist but lost almost all its influence and was effectively superseded by the SS.
Ah, I see.
Okay. They remained in existence, although I know that he killed his closest guys. It's interesting. I'm wrong about that, it appears.
But what's interesting about it is their tactic, as soon as somebody started to say something that they disagreed with, was literally just to scream them out of the room.
Yeah.
you know.
And beat them to a pulp.
Yes.
Yeah, and beat them to a pulp.
Right.
So we're seeing brown shirt tactic happening. We're seeing these things happen. And the answer is, okay, listen.
Listen.
Love your enemy.
Yeah.
I know that you feel like it's not going to work, but working is not what you're here for. We're not here for things that work. We are here because we were created without having been asked, as far as I know.
Sure.
We were created, and that's the right path. It's the right path. What's ironic about this is that from a disposition of love for your enemies, those who are, you know, you can call out all manner of stuff that's wrong with their ideas.
Absolutely.
Until they decide that your internet activity is, I guess, treasonous.
Yeah, right. And then you're done.
Or
right.
until they decide that you need to be run out of town for free speech.
Right.
These things are happening actually kind of left and right.
Yeah, it's a bit intense.
But the problem is, I've spoken to you guys as a God believer, as a Christian, and a whole bunch of the same exact stuff that we're seeing happen on the one side is getting ready to happen on the other side, that cloaks itself in Christianity and calls itself Christian, but really wants to build a kingdom for God, but not the kingdom of God, which is inside you.
Yeah, crazy. Dog.
Inside of each one of us is where the kingdom of God is. It's not in building a kingdom for God. So, you know, the Patriots are not going to own me. And it's not that I'm too liberal for the right or too conservative for the left. It's that I'm completely devoted to that love which loves its enemy. Yeah. And I'll see you in the FEMA camp.
I'll see. We'll get it squared away in the FEMA camp, friend. It's all right.
That's right. We can finally decide which technique of baptism works right when we have no water to do it with in the FEMA camp together.
Yeah, when we have to use human urine, it's fine.
It's intense.
It is intense, absolutely.
These are the kind of things that have been done.
Yeah.
And are being done right now by many.
Yeah.
And the number one most persecuted Christian group of people in the world by the stats are confessing Christians whose loyalty to Christ supersedes that to the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even have to break laws.
It's crazy, dog.
Well, it's easy to break the law when your whole faith has been outlawed. That's far too common. That's presently the truth. There is no people group in the world that has been persecuted to death. Yeah. To any number even approaching that of confessing Christians of conscience. Yeah.
It's fine. One of the reasons I thought it was important to define what we meant by love is because I think a lot of people, when they think about love and what it means to love their enemy, is kind of like high fives and bro hugs, you know, on all the issues and everything. But you know, people who love one another, they say no to each other. They have robust
disagreements.
Disagreements. That's something that my mom used to say that really struck me when I was probably like 13 or 14. She said, "Love says no," and I was like, "Huh, that's really fascinating," because it does. You're driven by love to care about another person, and sometimes caring about another person means telling them that you think their ideas are really bad. You know.
Love says no. I'm cross-referencing it because I see something here. As I look at that 1 Corinthians 13 again, love says no patiently. Love argues its case patiently. Yeah. Love argues its case kindly. Yeah. Love does not envy or boast. Yeah. Love doesn't boast when it beats you. Sure. Love is not arrogant in the way that it argues its cases. Yeah. Love is not rude in the way that it argues its cases. Love dissents. Love dissents. In fact, love will lead to bold, clear, kind dissent. I watched an interview. I'm not going to say the names involved, but many people will probably recognize it by the description, in which a man was interviewed quite unfairly by a very antagonistic interviewer. Yes. And stood ground in the ideological interchange with grace, but was visibly perplexed and angered by the treatment he was receiving. And in that offensive, disrespectful interview, acquitted himself with grace and kindness toward his interviewer, and wound up shaming his interviewer.
Yeah.
So much so
Right.
that just by the contrast of the unethical approach to him versus his very ethical approach to the interviewer,
Yeah.
this was remarkable in modern history. I don't think a lot of people got the message.
Yeah.
Because but not a lot of people are going to get the message. But everyone's supposed to hear it.
Sure.
That's task at hand, is to share the message. We can't make people, can't make people.
Yeah.
You can lead a horse to water is a really good metaphor.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the way that my Christian worldview interacts with the way that I interact with people, like at work and things of that nature. It's actually really interesting because it's really impactful. I texted one of the people that I managed today and told him that I really appreciated the hard work he was doing and knew that he was in a lot of strain in his personal life, and just really appreciated. I could really see that he cared, and he texted me back and said, "You know what? That just made my day. I really appreciate that." It's because I love people. I really do. I'm driven by the affection I feel from the Almighty to be affectionate towards the people around me, and I'm sure that guy's probably a horrible racist or something. Something just terrible.
Oh my gosh!
And we can have that conversation later.
Someone finds out you're friends with him. If someone finds out you're his friend, you know what they're going to do?
Yes.
They're going to shut down your cake shop.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, that's absolutely savage. It's absolutely, but it's really impactful for people. It really gets through when people can see that you care about them, even though you disagree with them. And they're much more acquiescent to listen to the arguments once they know that that your baseline is care and love for them. It's actually an effective way to.
Your baseline is patient and kind,
absolutely,
and not rude and arrogant, and it doesn't boast or envy.
Yeah.
So, I got to tell you, dear listeners, dear viewers, the best move tactically isn't to serve into the scene realm and the stuff and things and opinions of other people.
Yeah.
The best move tactically is to crack the book. You might not be there. You might think you hate Christianity. You might think that it's wrong. You should really read. You should really read it.
Yeah, just give it.
You should get in here. Give it a
once through.
It's worth more than a once through. It's the most remarkable piece of literature that has ever existed in all of human history.
That's true.
It is so historically reliable and so interesting in its it's just it's unbelievably remarkable. No, it's believably remarkable and reliable for so many things.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to, not for what people will think about you or for anyone's approval, but in the pursuit of authority. Question authority, especially authority that wants you to hate your enemy.
Right.
You're always getting robbed when someone wants you to hate your enemy.
Yeah.
When someone wants you to silence other people, shut them down, stop them from talking, it's always picking your pocket. You are a pawn.
Yeah.
If that's where you're at. And hopefully, I hope that robust discussions can be had about serious issues that really threaten our youth, especially.
Yeah.
Always with the youth.
I know, man. It's always the most vulnerable first.
It's almost as if the whole world lies under the sway of the evil one.
Almost as if, my guy.
Almost as if. Well, friends, it's been 80 minutes of delight for me and Luke.
Yep.
Whether it comes in as, what do they call that? Ear torture?
Ear torture? Is it?
I don't know.
It might be.
It's like a thing the kids say nowadays.
Ear torture. Golly.
We know
Good
that
job.
the basis of our thinking is more and more rare in the land. But I want to read it again. I think I can find it. There is this place in the book of Isaiah It says, look to the ancient ways.
Mm-hmm.
Do you happen to know where that is?
No, but I can find it for you.
Yeah, just look to the ancient ways.
Yes.
It's early in Isaiah. Or maybe not, but I think it is. I think it's early in here.
I got Jeremiah 6:16.
Let's look at it. That probably is it.
That's
Let's see, Jeremiah 6:16. What does it say in Jeremiah 6:16?
let me click on this link here.
Doesn't it even give you a little bit of the verse to see if I'm going the right?
Stand by the roads and look and ask for the ancient past.
Yes.
Where the good way is.
This is it.
Yeah.
6:16. Let's read it. Thus says the Lord, stand by the roads and look, ask for the ancient paths where the good way is and walk in it and find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk in it.
That's classic.
Then God says, I set watchmen over you, saying, pay attention to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not pay attention. I'm not happy about that. Ooh, what happens next is, oof.
Spicy.
Oh, it's,
Best go on, buckle up, my guy.
I'm gonna
Go ahead and close that.
when I think of who that was written to, I think about the American church.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, friends, this has been an episode of the CapmLew
For better or worse.
podcast. Yep. For what it's worth, we put in our hour and a half,
Indeed.
and we care about you. We care about what's going on. We want to have these conversations, and we're hopeful that we are what do you call it?
Impactful.
Building somewhat of a foundation.
Sure.
I hope that we're building a foundation from which we can begin to engage some more urgent topics.
Sure.
We spend a lot of time working on underlying philosophies, which are not so safe to talk about, because the implications of our ideas are definitely far-reaching.
Yes.
So, but again, we have to assert that if you find our content odious and you've reached this far in the podcast, that this was on you.
This was on you, my guy. This was on you.
Thanks for listening. CapmLew, for what it's worth.
Laters.
All right. Well, we started the audio before we did the video feed, so we ended the audio, and then we'll do the ending the video feed.
That's fine.
It's been nice to see Miklush is on here, and
Sam Hueda.
we had some names on here I didn't know. Sam mentioned Yeonmi Park. That's that lady. That's that lady I told you needed to pay close attention to. Yeonmi Park. Yeah.
Sam's plugged into the Matrix.
Sam is unplugged from the Matrix. He is. And, yeah. Well, I don't know. If I had my druthers, we would have studied the 7 feasts of Israel, and we would have looked at Torah as the precursor to the new covenant of Messiah. But we did not. Instead, we had to fart and piddle around on the edges of some urgent topic discussions.
Yes.
Which, if we were to take them head on, I think we would be booted right off the thing.
Are we going to get into that stuff, that the feasts and all that jazz? Because that's what I want to do.
Well, that's probably what we'll end up doing.
That sounds good.
I don't think that. I don't think I know whether that's going to be CapmLew podcast.
What we should do is like spend the first 20 minutes talking about something stupid like skateboarding, and just literally in the middle of like a topic, just transition over. So like people kind of are lost like with the melody of our songs.
I don't know.
Just flip over.
What you're talking about is pretty much what we do.
Entrapment.
I mean, we are the bait and switch podcast.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Obviously, we are. They would call us evangelicals.
Yeah.
But among the evangelicals, the Methodists call us Pentecostals. The Presbyterians call us Anabaptists.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah, right.
It's nice out here in the wilderness.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, it's a great view from outside the camp. Yeah, it's a great view. Am I embittered by that? Yes, of course. You think Jeremiah was embittered? Do you think Isaiah was ever embittered?
Yeah.
Read them. Yeah, I'm embittered. Jesus, the Savior himself wept bitter tears over the city of his people. Golly, it's a mess. So, but what I thought we might do is I think in that vein, that I might start doing a podcast that is a separate podcast in which what do they call it? Go there.
Go there.
Yeah, like just go there.
Yeah.
just get in the scripture and let people in on what I'm thinking. The problem is there are people like Mike Winger,
I know,
and folks like that who are doing this so well.
Yeah,
and
they really are.
I don't think that my contribution would be an addition. I think that in some ways I might wind up being a subtraction.
Well,
so
I don't know
instead,
if that's true.
I think I'll write some books.
Okay.
I don't know.
fine.
We'll see. I got told by a guy I should write a book, so I probably.
I know, but who wants to like do all the storyboarding?
He wanted me to. Yeah, he wanted me to write a book about my journey in skateboarding.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, he asked me a bunch of questions and I answered him about my work in skateboarding, and he's like, "You should write a book."
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
about what? And he's like, "About that."
Yes.
And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Everybody's still alive, and have to have my publisher's agents call them all up and see if they'll sign off on the content of the book."
Or you just write it and then like put it in your will. Like when you die, it just goes out.
Oh, what a mess!
I know.
What's
Or
this?
dude, write it anonymously.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that was what we weren't talking about.
Yeah, you could give people pseudonyms. You could change the names to protect the uninnocent.
What was
The names have been changed to protect the reputations of people who don't deserve them in the first place.
what was Ben Franklin's pseudonym that he used?
Oh,
It was like a widow. It was.
nom de plume.
I don't think that's true.
No, name of the feather.
Oh.
Nom de plume. That's the word for a pseudonym.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's actually fascinating. I
Nom-
can't remember.
Nom de guerre is a fake name that a soldier uses to cover their identity. Nom de plume. Yeah.
Let's see, dude.
Well,
That's fine.
I know what to do. I'll publish it in French.
Oh, there you go.
That'll
dude.
save the whole thing.
Yeah,
You know, these
right.
guys gonna read it in French.
Yeah. Oh, hell no. Silence do good. That's what it is. I forgot.
Silence do good.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
That's beautiful.
Gosh, dude.
Well, dear watchers, thank you for your time with us. Our YouTube is updated. Yeah, we ain't on about that popularity contest over there. But if you did watch this on YouTube, go outside.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, just listen to us on the podcast and do some yard work.
Yeah, or like go skate or something.
Mow your lawn. Clean your room.
Clean your room.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Laters.
For what it's worth, it's on you.